Hey everybody, it's Will, and as you probably know, the storm warning update just dropped today, which, while exciting, is also a bit disappointing. I will be doing an overview of the Eurofighters and the Rafale in this video, but there are a few significant issues with the update as always. I'll get into a few with the planes in this video, but I'm just disappointed with Gaijin's management not caring like usual. Outside of that, once those issues are fixed, this update is looking pretty good for everyone with the Eurofighter and still pretty decent for France with the Rafale. Obviously, I know a lot of people were hoping for the Hornet, and honestly, I fully expected it to come sometime this year, but that just didn't happen. I expect we'll get it in the first or second of update next year at this point. Hey, maybe Lee was right about the Hornet coming in June, just the wrong year. Also, if you guys do enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to reach my next goal of 2,000 subscribers. Also, go check out my Discord in the description as well if you're interested in joining the community. Also, before we get started, I wanted to let you all know there will be a charity stream being held by Blitzkita for Make-A-Wish this Friday, December 20th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be hosted on their Twitch channel, which I have the link to in my description, along with the link to their post about it. I and a bunch of other CCs will all be taking part in a bunch of different fun events which should last a few hours, so please make sure to check it out. I'm going to start off with the Rafale, which is overall pretty good. Really the only bad thing about it is its armament, or lack thereof in terms of quantity. Unfortunately, while the Mirage 2000 gets 8 total missiles in the form of 6 MICAs and 2 Magics, the Rafale only gets 6 total. In this case, it can either take 6 MICAs, or 4 MICAs and 2 Magics, or somewhere in between. You can choose between the MICA or Magics on the wingtips when making your loadouts, so at least you have some sort of option there. So the loadouts are less than spectacular. In the game, Gaijin, in their infinite wisdom, chose to give the Rafale HMD because the variant we have in-game, the F3R, had it in Indian service, which makes perfect sense, right? Until you consider the fact that for some reason they did not give the Rafale the extra MICA pylons it had in Indian service, which would give the Rafale 8 missiles. The F3R used by the French could have got them, but they chose not to. It's very interesting how Gaijin picks and chooses what to give or what not to give a vehicle based on what it can get. Overall, I'm glad they gave it HMD, but I really can't understand why it lacks those extra pylons in-game. But ignoring Gaijin's lack of self-awareness, I did want to talk about the Rafale's air-to-ground weaponry, which is also a bit limited in capacity, but at least in my opinion has better air-to-ground weapons than the Eurofighter. It will be an especially great plane to pair with the Mirage 2000 RMV we got last update, so you can have a good multi-role fighter and another good strike aircraft as well. There are a bunch of different guided weapons you can take that cover all forms of guidance. However, the loadout I think is the best would be the laser-guided GBU-24 on the centerline pylon, 2 Magics on the wingtips, 2 MICAs on the fuselage pylons, and the triple rack of SBU-64s on each wing. The SBU-64s are IR-guided missiles which are especially helpful when defending against enemy SPA like the Panzer. You can just fire off a couple of those towards the enemy SPA, and ideally at least one of them should hit. Or alternatively, you can ignore them and only spam them off at enemy tanks to rack up kills. Depending on the size and heat signature of a target, you can track a tank up to about 14 kilometers away, and it seemed like smaller targets would lock closer to 10 kilometers away. But this missile has a total range of 20 kilometers, and you can launch them well above Mach 1 as long as you're below Mach 1.4. Keep in mind, if a target is staying still, you can also lock the point where they are from even further away, and the missile will automatically track them once it gets close enough, assuming they are still in the same spot. The added maneuverability of the Rafale is also great, since it makes it even easier to dodge incoming missiles from both anti-air and other planes. It's overall a pretty great multi-role aircraft. But my main complaint is just the limited number of missiles. Seeing as though the added pylons have been rejected multiple times on different bug reports, I doubt we will see it with 8 missiles until a later variant comes. However, I will still play the Rafale a lot since it has very good flight performance and has a much better maneuverability than the Mirage 2000, which was already fairly good. I'm definitely going to have a lot more fun with it in both RB and in Sim. There is, however, another major issue for the Rafale. While it should have an ASA radar, and even says so in-game, it currently does not. With its ASA, it will have the best radar in-game by far, having a near instant refresh rate of targets. It's basically the perfect nightmare for someone with epilepsy. The problem lies in that Gaijin can't be bothered to complete an update before pushing it out to the live server, so the radar on the Rafale is completely unfinished and is practically unusable. In fact, I had to resort to hard blocking the enemy to actually guide in the MICAs properly. It was already bad enough having a limited amount, but sometimes they just went to waste because despite the fact that the enemy was coming right at me, the radar still lost them. I had times where it would just switch between targets because it lost the enemy, it would fire my missiles at literally nothing or would fire them at their missiles, essentially accomplishing nothing. I'm just tired of Gaijin updating the game when there are still so many bugs. This is just scratching the surface. In fact, the update is so underbaked that even the Eurofighter's radar is incomplete, so much so that it is also practically unusable. Once the radar is fixed, the Rafale should be a very good plane. You will be able to give the MICA some extra range due to your high acceleration and climb rate, and at least in Sim you can just cruise around without afterburner since you could super cruise in the Rafale, which is very nice, especially when you're low on fuel. Overall, the Rafale should be a fairly nice upgrade in all ways other than missile count to the Mirage 2000 once the radar is fixed. Now for the Eurofighters. They all have a mechanical radar, which should be pretty good at least once it's fixed. I won't go on my rant again, but the radar is in a similar state to the Rafale in that it is just unfinished. So for the Eurofighters, I'm going to talk about them interchangeably since they're all the exact same except for the German one, the EF-2000, which lacks IRST. So Germany, Britain, and Italy all get the Eurofighter. They all have the exact same armaments, though Germany's technically has the AIM-9L-I-1, which is a smokeless AIM-9L with the same IRCCM as the AIM-9M. So it's basically a 9M in all but name, which is what I'll just call it from now on. The Eurofighters can take a total of 10 missiles if you choose to take 6 9Ms, with 4 being on double racks. However, I prefer to take 8 total with 1 AMRAAM where those double racks would go for 6 AMRAAMs and 2 9Ms. However, if you choose, you of course could take 5 AMRAAMs and 4 9Ms, which would probably be a pretty decent loadout, I just haven't tried it yet. The flight performance of the Eurofighter also allows for super cruise, so you can get all the benefits I mentioned earlier, like hauling ass back to base without using afterburner. However, when using its afterburner, it can easily get up to speed and altitude, meaning you can sling off AMRAAMs similar to how the F-15E can. Giving those missiles that extra speed and altitude boost off the bat will do wonders for the range, energy, and time to target. You can also give the 9Ms a range boost when you're launching close to Mach 1.5 versus other jets launching them at a much lower speed. Its dogfight performance is also pretty nasty since it has a crazy high thruster weight while being a delta wing. Both it and the Rafale can pretty easily beat most other aircraft in a dogfight with ease. I should also have another video with the Rafale and the Eurofighter in a dogfight in sim mode coming out in the next week or so watch out for that. The Eurofighter also has some pretty good air-to-ground options, though not quite as good as the Rafale, at least in my opinion, but it does have a lot more air-to-ground ordnance while still having 6 air-to-air missiles. There are various options, though in my opinion the best would be 12 Brimstones and 4 Paveway 4s, along with the 4 AMRAAMs and 2 9Ms. Again, this applies to all the Eurofighters. With the Brimstones, you can also fire them towards the enemy and wait for them to get close, then pop back up and enable your laser for the final targeting, which is a nice feature. Of course, the Paveway 4s are also fairly nice since they have GPS and inertial guidance, so they will at least be in the same zip code as your intended target if you lose initial laser lock. In the German tree, the Eurofighter will easily be your best strike aircraft for top tier, since the Tornado IDS is iffy at best. As for Britain, the Typhoon will be good to pair with the Tornado GR4 in ground battles, and for Italy, the F-2000A will be best to pair with the AV-8B Plus in ground battles. So Italy and Britain will have the best options, with Germany being a bit behind in terms of pairing with an actual strike aircraft for ground battles. But at least Germany will no longer suffer completely in top tier air and top tier CAS. It's only been like 3 years, but hey, they got something finally. The Eurofighter will be the best fighter and strike aircraft for all 3 nations, in my opinion at least, and should provide a massive boost overall. The Rafale will also be a very nice addition to France, and I just hope to see all these planes get their radars fixed soon. I'll probably still play them a bit for now, but once that happens, they'll probably be my main aircraft for a while. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what you think of the Eurofighter and the Rafale in the comments down below.